Hello and welcome to another Stellarian Games video. In this episode, we're going to be looking at how to make a sleigh. This is meant to be a snow sleigh that can be used as part of a campaign. This one has a little cabin on the back side of it that can be removed if you need to. It just pops off the back and turns it into kind of a more traditional sleigh that you might find somewhere else. But this cabin is also designed to be sort of like a little caravan sleigh that you might find, traveling nomads using a caravan style, but instead of being on wheels, this one is a snow sleigh. It is drawn by a large elk creature that is, it's just a Reaper miniature elk. I wanted this to be a little bit more fantastical, sort of like a Santa Claus style sleigh with deer drawing it, but I figured a large elk would be kind of a cool feature to have for this sleigh. This is part of a little one-shot campaign that I did a little while back, and it was designed to be kind of Christmas themed or winter themed with the cursed tree and some of the other projects that I have. This sleigh was just an NPC that comes through and was kind of the Father Christmas and gave out gifts to the characters as part of that one shot. So this sleigh is a little bit more straightforward build in terms of using balsa wood to actually construct it from the ground up, and then just a little bit of painting on top of it. So let's go to the tabletop and see how this one is done.
All right, for this craft, we're going to start by sketching out the overall shape of the skids for the bottom of the sleigh. Cutting these out with an X-Acto blade, and then tracing that onto a chunk of balsa wood. This will be the actual runners for the bottom of the sleigh, and doing two of those for the two runners for the sleigh. Going over to the bandsaw and cutting those out, just getting the rough shape with these. And then finishing the cut with my X-Acto knife because I couldn't get the blade to comfortably go between where I wanted to. Then I'm just going to sand these up to make them a little bit smoother, and also round off some of the edges a little bit so that it wasn't quite such nice hard clean cuts on the balsa wood. Using the blade to then make it look a little bit more rough hewn so that it again has a more weathered appearance. I'm using a very small drill bit and drilling in two small holes for the risers on the sleigh, and using some toothpick pegs and cutting those off at a length and gluing those into place. Next, I'm taking another small chunk of balsa wood and cutting off. These will be the cross braces underneath the sleigh, so making this rough hewn again, and then drilling in some holes at the right distance to make the separation between the sleighs. Again, putting a little drop of glue on each one of those, and I'm just using wood glue to do all of this gluing because I figured wood glue would be good for gluing wood together. Now I'm starting to cut out the shape of the side of the kind of the carriage portion of the sleigh, getting the rough shape and elements needed for the sleigh. Then in between, I'm creating the seat and backrest, things like that, and gluing that into place. Then gluing on that bottom and getting it ready to glue together side to side. To hold all that together, I'm just using some C-clamps and lightly clamping these together just so that it holds all together while the wood glue sets up. Once that is dry, then I'm coming along with a ballpoint pen and carving in some of the wood planking lines on the side of the sleigh. This will just give it a little bit more texture. In the end, the wood already has a little bit of that wood grain, the balsa wood does, but this is more for the planking. And I'm gluing that whole sleigh onto the runners. Next, we're going to start working on the harness for the elk. Putting a strip of wire into a drill and then twisting that up and then giving it the shape over the top of the elk to create the overall harness for it. This front piece, I'm hot gluing 2 small little magnets into this little front loop. That way I can magnet this piece onto the elk and it'll stay put without damaging the elk or making it a permanent fixture of this model. And I'm using a pin drill and drilling through underneath, and that'll be where the harness gets attached to the sleigh, and then having a little bit stick through and then bend that up with a needle nose plier and then setting that into place with a drop of hot glue in the back. Then I'm coming and giving this a black primer spray paint. That'll just be the base coat for the sleigh. And then once that was dry, I decided I wanted to actually build the back carriage section that will make it more of a enclosed sleigh feel. But I also wanted it to be able to come out, so I'm not just gluing it directly into the bed. I'm making it so that it can slip in and out of the sleigh bed as I need. So I'm attaching the side strips and just getting the overall shape of it so that it can slip into the bed of the sleigh. And then putting on some side panels. These will be where I actually glue the windows onto later on. Then some very thin balsa wood I'm gluing into place on top, and this balsa wood is so thin that I can kind of curve it over the top of that arch. Then cutting out a door and gluing that onto the back as well. So all of this will just kind of fit over the top and slide into place. Then I'm adding some small windows, cutting those out, and then going to glue those into place on the back carriage section. Then I'll spray paint that black as well, and then start the actual painting process. For the bottom of the sleigh, I'm using this nice kind of forest green. That'll be on the upper portion of the carriage as well. That'll be kind of the base coat of this. And then using a kind of a golden brown, using that for the runners of the sleigh, as well as the roof of the carriage, the back cabin portion will have this nice golden brown as well. And painting the door with that brown, just giving it all a nice accent. Then for the harness, I'm using kind of a leather brown to make it feel like a leather harness sticking out the front. I'm using some black ink with a very fine tip brush and leaving those in the grooves of the roof and around the door, etc., just to give those a little bit more shadow detail. And then adding a dark brown for the trim around the windows and around the door. Once all of that's completely dry, I'm using a very light dry brush of a cream color. This will give it a weathered look and a little bit of a frosty look as well. And there is the finished product. Again, that back cabin can slide off if needed, but I really like how it looks like a kind of a on-the-go cabin, if you will, for this little character. I hope you like this video. If you do, please hit the like button and subscribe, and we'll see you again next time. Thank you.